This is a tribute video to celebrate 13th year of YASHism. One man, one word, one commitment. And then rest was into the history books of Indian film industry. Rocking star Yash. The word KGF or any particular background music from the KGF movie literally brings orgasm in our ears. Every KGF lover is totally looking forward for the second chapter like an hungry eagle to witness the biggest visual spectacle you could ever imagine. This video is not about 81 things that went wrong or 64 mistakes in KGF. This video is a tribute to the movie KGF, in which I have tried to break down the science behind the movie. I personally watched the movie in 0.25x speed and I counted the number of cuts that were made in the movie. So stay tuned to know more about it and wait for the surprise in the end. I have tried to break down the writing pattern of some scenes from the KGF movie. Like how stand-up comedy has setup punchline jokes, similarly, here every scene has a setup and a resolution. In stand-up comedy, the punchline will be opposite from the assumption that the setup sets. The same pattern is used here. Let's take an example. Here the setup is Rocky gets caught, and the obvious assumption is Rocky will be butchered. But the resolution will be opposite of the assumption. That is, Rocky gets caught purposely to create terror in everyone. Here's another example. In this particular scene, setup is that the old man gets caught who is actually blind. Assumption is nobody can save the old man from Rugga. Here the resolution is Rocky fights and saves the old man. Setup sets an assumption and resolution breaks the assumption. Now let's go back to the 5th standard science, which taught us the laws of motion. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction, right? The director uses this concept super efficiently everywhere in the film. Let's take Climax as an example, where Rocky kills Garuda and there are so many reactions, just to amplify the action which just happened. We see this action reaction thing everywhere. You may have seen this reaction after every video meme, right? This amplifies the action which just happened. Reactions are used to convey the emotions heavily. There are more number of people to react for everything that is going around them. The emotions are better amplified with more number of reaction shots from the people. This movie is loaded with many callbacks and comebacks. Here are some of the major callbacks.
Since 1925.
Since 1951. ಆ ಜಾಗ ಎಲ್ಲೇ ಇರ್ಲಿ ಹೇಗೆ ಇರ್ಲಿ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ.
ಇವಳ ಆಶಿಕು ಹೋಗಿರೋ ಜಾಗದಿಂದ ವಾಪಸ್ ಬರಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ನೀವೇ ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ? ಇಲ್ಲ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿ.
ಜಾಗ ಎಂಥದ್ದೇ ಇರ್ಲಿ, ಅಲ್ಲಿರೋ ಜನ ಹೇಗಾದ್ರೂ ಇರ್ಲಿ, ಹೋಗಿರೋ ನನ್ನ ಆಶಿಕ್ ಅಂತ ನೀವ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ? ನಾನ್ ಹೇಳ.
ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರೆಡಿ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ನಮಗೊಂದು ಸಿಗ್ನಲ್ ಕೊಡು, ದೊಡ್ಡದಾಗಿ.
ನಾನೀಗ ರೆಡಿ.
ಅವನೊಂದು ಸಿಗ್ನಲ್ ಕಳಿಸಿದಾನೆ, ದೊಡ್ಡದಾಗಿ. ಅವಳ ಹೆಸರು ಹೆಸರು ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಜನ ಎದ್ದು ನಿಂತು ಮರ್ಯಾದೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರ.
Literally every dialogue has a callback or a comeback.
ಘರ್ಷಣೆಯ ಬಾಂಬೆಗೆ ರಾಕಿ ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ.
The song Sidila Bharava is the song of comebacks.
ಕುಣಿಡಿದ ಭಗೀರಥನ ಮೇಲು ಹೊರಟು ಹೋಯ್ತು ಸ್ಮಶಾನವ.
ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅಲೆಗಳಿಗುದ್ದರ
ದಂಬೆಕಲೇ
ಯಾವನ ದಂಬೆಕಲೆ ಅಂತ. ಐ ಲವ್ ಯು ಚಿನ್ನ, ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಐಡಿಯಾ ಕೊಟ್ಟೆ.
ನಾನೆಷ್ಟು ಬ್ಯಾಡ್ ಅಂತ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಬೇಕಿತ್ತು.
ಇಫ್ ಯು ಥಿಂಕ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಬ್ಯಾಡ್, ಐ ಆಮ್ ಯುವರ್ ಡ್ಯಾಡ್. ನೀನ್ ಯಾವನಾದ್ರೂ ಕಾನೂನ್ಗ ಗುಲಾಮ್ 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 ನಹಿ.
ನಾನು ನೀನೇನೋ ಒಪ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು.
When our eyes take in a color, they communicate with the region of the brain known as the hypothalamus, which in turn sends a cascade of signals to the pituitary gland, onto the endocrine system and then to the thyroid glands. The thyroid glands signal the release of the hormones which cause fluctuation in mood, emotion and resulting behavior. To be honest, even I googled this. In layman terms, color is a powerful communication tool and can be used to signal action, influence mood and even influence psychological reactions. Blue represents calmness, serenity or passivity. Black represents evil. Brown represents materialistic or earthly. Orange represents impulse, haste or chaos. Red is the color that we have the strongest reaction to, which also represents love, passion, anger, danger or ambitious. Green represents nature, corruption or immaturity. White represents purity or innocence. The villainism overshadows the heroism. Gold represents precious, richness, wealth, grandeur and prosperity. Then there are many color schemes. Among them is discordant colors. Any deviation from the film's color scheme is often used to refocus the viewer's attention to an important person, place or a thing. And then there is a color shift in between the film which represents a change in the story, character or theme. The color shift amplifies the emotion on screen. Filmmakers can have fun with mixing two or more colors to influence us on an intrinsic level, like this blue and orange which represents calm in the chaos. This is a powerful way to subliminally communicate a character or story arc visually. A well-placed movie color palette evokes mood and sets the tone for the film. Here is what the director says.
Without that sound, without that enhancement, it might feel like another movie.
Many sound samples are used to create the background music and sound effects, like these: men screaming, church bell, breathing sound, and few sounds of animals. Every main character has their own character background music. Whenever they appear on screen, we can hear their character background score. Wow, kudos to the editor. This movie editing is an open book for all the upcoming editors. You name any cut related to film editing and I'm damn sure you're gonna find it.
ಕಲಿತಿರೋ ಅಷ್ಟು ಒಳ್ಳೇದು.
ಶಾಂತಮ್ಮ ಶಾಂತಮ್ಮ ಏಯ್ ನಿಂದ್ರಲೆ.
Do you want to know how many cuts were made in KGF? And now comes the time you all been waiting for. There are totally 6,799 cuts in the KGF movie. Average shot length. It indicates the average duration of a shot between two cuts in a film. That is calculated by total film runtime in seconds divided by number of cuts. That is equal to 1.32 seconds. That is, on an average, there will be a cut at every 1.32 seconds. As per the online research that I have made, KGF beats all the top 6 films which has hyper fast editing in the average shot length. Do you know which is the longest shot in KGF?
ಕಮಲ್ ಏನಾಯ್ತು?
ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ದೊಡ್ಡದಂತೆ, ಹುಡ್ಕೋದ್ ಕಷ್ಟ ಅಂತೆ.
It was 13 seconds long. But why didn't we feel it? Here's the reason. Emotion has the word motion in it. So nowhere in the film the camera is still. Literally every scene or a shot starts from shifting focus. That is termed as rack focus. The advantage of this is you don't need a cut to get to another shot. The USP of this movie is very tight frames are set. No space is wasted unnecessarily. Every frame of the film has fire, dust, rain, or people reacting in the background. Like the Kurosawa movies, the shots have visual interest. Even when people are still, there will be some action in the background to draw the audience attention. The framing and the staging has been very well done in all the 3 layers: the foreground, the midground, and the background.
ಯಾವ ಸಿನಿಮಾ ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದು ಯಾವ್ದೋ ಒಂದ್ ಕತೆ ಹೇಳು. ಎಷ್ಟ್ ಸಿನಿಮಾ ನೋಡಿದ? ದಿನ ನನ್ ಕತೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಿಯಲ್ಲ. ಕತೆ ಹೇಳು. ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಿನಿಮಾಗಳಲ್ಲೂ ಒಬ್ನಿರ್ತಾನಂತಲ್ಲ. ನಿನ್ನ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರೆ ನನಗೆ ಹಂಗೆ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. ಹೀರೋನಾ? ಅಲ್ಲ, ವಿಲನ್.
Rocky always forgets his matchbox when he is always obsessed with cigarettes.
ಮ್ಯಾಚಸ್ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಮ್ಯಾಚ್ ಬಾಕ್ಸ್ ಇದೆಯಾ?
Here in this particular scene, the director uses the technique clock ticking sound to make the scene more intense. A time end point, also known as ticking clock, is a technique in which you tell the audience that the action must be completed by a specific time. A time end point gives you the benefit of intense narrative drive and great speed. The eagle denotes that this was just Garuda's point of view. There are many foreshadowing scenes. This indirectly depicts that Rocky has already killed Garuda. Here's another foreshadowing scene that Rocky is gonna hammer the guard. When the pawn reaches the opposite side of a chessboard, it has the ability to promote itself into a queen, bishop, rook, or a knight. There are many metaphors like Hanuman and Ahiravana from Ramayana that can be linked with Rocky and Garuda. I know I have missed many metaphors hidden in the movie. Comment on the things that you guys have noticed. A motif is any recurring pattern that supports the underlying theme of the narrative. Symbols do help to build a motif. The idea of a visual motif is to support the underlying theme of showing, not telling your audience what your story is about, and understand the theme of the story. My assumption, there are 2 major motifs in this film. One is food, which is explained completely by another channel. Do click here.
ಗಳನ್ನು ದಾಟಿ ನರಾಚೆಗೆ ಬಂದು
ರಾಕಿ ಅದರ ಬೇರು ಕಿತ್ತಂತಿತ್ತು.
ಕುಣಿಡಿದ ಭಗೀರಥನ ಮೇಲು ಹೊರಟು ಹೋಯ್ತು
I have tried to find out another theme motif of the film, which is dominance hierarchy.
ಮೊದಲನೇ ಸಲ KGF Bombay was on high alert.
This film uses so many animal references, which are the symbols to the motifs.
ತಿಮಿಂಗ್ಲದು ಅಂತ
ಆನೆಗೆ ಕೆಡ್ಡ ತೊಡನೊಬ್ಬ ಬಂಬೈ ರೇಷ್ಮೆ ಹುಳುಕಾಯ
ಒಂದ್ ಆನೆ ನೋಡಿಬೇಕು.
ಗಾಯಗೊಂಡಿರೋ ಸಿಂಹದ ಉಸಿರು
ಜನರನ್ ಬಲೆ ಹಾಕಿ ಮೀನ್ ತರ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗೋದಕ್ಕೆ.
ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕುರಿಗಳ ಮಧ್ಯೆ ರಾಕಿ ಟಗರ್ ಥರಾನೇ ಇದ್ದ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಮೊಸಳೆಗೆ ಮೀನಿಗಿಂತ ಕೈಯೇ ರುಚಿಯಾಗಿ ಕಾಣಿಸುತ್ತೆ.
ರಾಜೆ ಸುತ್ತಲೂ ರಣಹದ್ದುಗಳು ಕಾಯ್ತಾ ಇವೆ. ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಚಿಕ್ಕ
And here is a surprise that I mentioned earlier. Once my mother had told me, if you love something truly, you should tell that to the world out loud. And the whole universe is going to bring that love to you. If you know Prashanth Neel, you know the fact that Sir has not attended any interviews or functions. I know what you want, and I am here trying my level best to fulfill your want. You will have an incentive only if you help me reach my thing. This video's main motto is to call Prashanth Neel sir for a podcast. I have even created a petition. Link is in the description. Please sign the petition and share this video in Twitter or any social media platforms. And do tag Prashanth Neel sir with the hashtag podcast with Prashanth Neel. Let's see where this escalates. If everything goes according to the plan, let's play a cricket match after the podcast, just the way you like it. You never know until you try. This video was made solely for infotainment purpose and not to hurt sentiments of anyone by any means.